Good day, welcome again to Crystal Education TV, and today we are on the Stakeholders Viewpoint. And you know how we do it on Stakeholders Viewpoint. We interact with stakeholders in the education sector. They share their thoughts, they share their perspectives, they share their concern on trending issues, on policies, on happenings that affect them. Of course, this is school resumption, and what other Stakeholders Viewpoint we will be talking about, if not looking at what the stakeholders are saying about school resumption. So we took a trip this time to dual model schools in Kubwa in the FCT, and we spoke with the director, Barrister Christopher Utulu, the director of dual model schools here in the FCT, and he did speak on quite a number of things. The focus is on school resumption, and then we looked at issues on ASUU strike, how parents are coping with the challenges. So let's go see how that interaction went. With yours sincerely, Choose Crystal. I'll be back after that.
So school have resumed, and for you as a school owner, the dual model school, how has been the reaction and the resumption pattern, the challenges that it comes with as well?
Yes, we have resumed. It is a kind of mixed feelings because we as teachers are happy to come back to school, and our little friends, the students, they are coming back. They are also happy to see us, and it's like our lost or our missed young ones are coming back. But on the part of their parents, there is a drag in the sense that most of them, because of economy or whatsoever, are not prepared. As I'm talking now, there are still some people who are saying, my child will come next week. And there's just no justifiable reason other than that he may not have what it takes, either to buy the books or to pay the fee. Even when we have given opportunity for people to pay after second week of resumption, inability to buy required school materials also has kept people away. But we are hopeful that with time they will start working in. And some of them who cannot meet up there may look for a cheaper school or a public school to flow to.
Wow. And now, for you as a school owner, what do you think this development portends for private schools generally in the country?
For private schools generally, it's like people will be coming down from high-paying schools to lower-paying schools, even to where they will not be able to pay, depending on the economy of the sponsors. So it is a normal trend. Always, things are not equal, and people don't wait for the land to be level before they build. So people will fix themselves where they think they can afford.
Okay, then going forward, what does the future hold? How do you think we'll be able to navigate out of this entire challenge?
Well, if you go out of the country, you find that those who can afford to leave the country are already leaving the country. There's hardly any country now you go to where you don't see Nigerians as students, as low-income workers trying to make ends meet. So that's really it cannot be worse than this. It cannot be. You now find that lecturers, doctors, nurses are leaving the Nigerian shore to look for survival somewhere where their money, their income can make them have a living. Otherwise, most of us are not living.
Now, talking about the students and lecturers leaving, that brings us to the issue of the ASUU strike. 7 months has gone down. What do you think are the implications, the consequences, and what do you think we should do differently to get out of this?
Looking at the implications, we are, no matter the party you call it, we have party or politicians that are not sensitive to the needs of the people. So it doesn't matter to them. Instead, they have hijacked the strike of the ASUU to think of how to prescribe ASUU, to think of how to segment. What I mean by that is that school now has become, if you are rich, go to private school. If you are not rich, stay at home and stop making noise. So those of them who can afford it are moving to private school or moving out of the country. But those who cannot afford it are left lying low. So it's another divide of the sectors, creating poor people to be poorer and giving a very big gap between the poor and the medium income group. It will not be good for all of us because it will create what we are facing today, insecurity. By the time you have joined a school with somebody and just because your father is poor, you have stayed after that school for 1 year and that person is not disturbed, he goes on. He comes back to become your senior either in the sector where you are working before or even in the job sector. So it's creating a divide already, and I'm sure most of us did not foresee it. But the politicians, the insensitive politicians we have in Nigeria don't even care. It doesn't mean anything to them. Whether we bend or we break, whether there's security or insecurity, it doesn't matter to them. But that is the consequence, because if you go to the airport, if there is a reliable statistics in this country today, you would have seen that even lecturers as well as students are leaving the country. In most societies, in most states now, there's hardly a family now where there's no 1 or 2 persons schooling outside the country, not because they have the money, but because they just have to make effort, even if it means dying in the process.
Now, if you know, the government will argue that we already have economic situation in the globe,
yeah,
and that of course we all know that Nigeria is borrowing. Our debt profile is very high. Then they would be thinking that ASUU will subpedal and lower, and some people are already feeling offended with ASUU. Do you think, sir, at this point that ASUU should go back to the negotiations table while they return to classroom, or get every issue addressed so that we don't have this reoccurrence?
Well, what I know about trade union is that the issue of negotiation never ceases. When you go to the negotiation table with about 3 or 4 points, you get 2 or 3 of them, you come back, continue. It's because it's an unending partnership. It is not going to end. So you can never get everything you want once. But my problem is whether the government is taking the negotiation serious is another problem. It's one thing to gather professors and high-ranking persons in society and they talk for weeks and nothing happens. It ridicules the whole setup. So I am one person who feels that government should do a little they can. Yes, the economy is not good, but the economy is mismanaged. But in the same economy, you want to look at what is the income or the take-home of a senator, what is the one of a governor, and these are people that are taught by the same professor. So I think that the government has something to do. Even when government doesn't have money, there's a way you convince people, but there's no convincing evidence to show to the commoners, to show to the electorate that government is really facing downtown in economy. Because at the time you are talking about, you will now begin to manage or look at what the government is doing with money. So if you look at what they are doing with money, you will now wonder whether the money we have is really properly used, and why should lecturers be the scapegoat.
Yes, welcome back. It was an interesting one. You see the tough time parents are facing. Yes, the economic reality. You see him trying to analyze it for the real fact, coming from somebody in the sector. You can tell for true that this is the real challenge people are facing. Maybe you are a parent or you're a school owner, you also want to share your thoughts with us on this Stakeholders Viewpoint. You can actually send us a mail on the challenge you are facing as a school owner, or you want to extend an invite to us for us to interact with you on your burden and concern in the education sector. Just hit us up on the number on the screen. Okay, and we'll move on. Of course, we see some of the issues. Now, something to take away from this chat is the big question. What is the government doing concerning ASUU? Are they doing enough? And the big question is, why should ASUU be an scapegoat? Why should they be the scapegoat? Because in his view, the government is not acting like we don't have funds. If you look at some of the activities, look at what they are doing, then you begin to ask, why then should ASUU, why should the universities, why should education be the one to suffer for all the backlashes? And I tell you for free, like it's always said, the education of a society will tell the future of that society. Every developing nation is rated by how well their education system is. My name is Just Krista saying, stay with us, and every week we shall be bringing you Stakeholders Viewpoint. Don't go anywhere. Yes, you can view other videos on our channel, and we'll see you again as we bring you more details. Don't forget, every week here on Crystal Education TV, we have our midweek education update, which features schools and press, and then we have our weekend education update. Of course, we also have the featuring of the school press support program that we are running, as well as our education talk point, which is already coming back to you right here on the Crystal Education TV. Subscribe, send us an invite, we profile your school and do more things with us. Please subscribe, share, so you can keep us going.